we doing? Is all my stuff working today? Welcome back. Happy Friday, guys. You look nice. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the Combat Recap Show, live show, I don't know, where we go live and typically just point and complain about stuff. If you wouldn't mind tapping on the like button, drop in the chat, let me know where you guys are chiming in from. We love to see you. And like I said, you look real nice tonight. Somebody should tell you that. And I'll be the one to do it. It's good to see you. Welcome back. Ooh. Just wait for it to drop. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday, but thanks again for the continued nonsense there. Hit the like button. All right. Virginia Beach, Portugal. What's going on? Seattle. Oh my God, there it goes. I'm here. Hi, Mosen. Texas, yeehaw. Denmark, Ontario. Pennsylvania, Ontario again. Hyperdrive. Happy birthday from Australia. Every time I read the word Australia, I can't help but think of Tropic Thunder, where he said, a dingo ate your baby. I just can't not think of that when I see the word Australia. You know, if Tropic Thunder were to be made today, how far do you think that would get? Do you even think that would go into production? I don't think so. I don't think they'd be able to make that movie today. Anyway, we got a different kind of show coming up for you. We're on the first of our new schedule. I know there are going to be a lot of folks that still aren't aware with kind of how we've shifted and adjusted the schedule, so I want to cover a little bit of that before we dive into the rest of the show tonight. Essentially, we've moved this show, the live portion, to once a week. Now, the reason that we did that is we want to expand from a time resource perspective into doing other things too. Something we used to do much more of is edited versions of breakdowns of individual clips, trying to provide a deeper level of context than we can provide in an hour to an hour and a half show on 30 pieces of footage. What we originally called that was FNN, right? That was the origin of this show. We want to shift back to doing that because providing that deeper level of context is necessary and it's important. But what we also want to do is dedicate more time against telling stories. Right, so we got that capability up and running. I spent about an hour and a half on the line with Yuri just yesterday, and come to find out there's just a little bit more production work that we need to do. Needless to say, Yuri's all good, but we will have a new interview published with him probably within the next couple weeks once he and I reconnect over the course of the next couple days to essentially redo that discussion. Kind of laying it all out for you. So the live portion of the show has moved to once a week. As we move forward, we might very well shift back to 2 times a week and then again to 3 times a week. But because we try to stay a small and agile team, we need to be able to shift rapidly when we need to. And we did open up the applications for the writers. So we've received quite a few of those for the writer position, excuse me. We've received quite a few of those. Thank you guys for submitting that. And we're expanding. The team is expanding. We're growing. We're trying to adjust how and when we deliver information. And, we're always trying to provide value and increase value. And one of the reasons, or one of the ways that we want to do that is going to be a lot about how we start tonight's show specifically. Now, I've said before that we're not a news show. We're not. But what I've always wanted to do is point out different topics that are going on for you to then take and research on your own. This show turned into some form of like a Ukraine update. It was never designed nor supposed to be. Our intent is to show you footage, to talk about things that are impacting the military space, and things that are impacting us here at home. That could be anything from Russia's invasion of Ukraine to the new national cybersecurity strategy that just came out. We're going to be talking about that here in just a second. But the additional time and energy, rather than just sitting here going through video after video, when you could just as easily do that on the app and on the website, that's going to change the format of the show. Now, I'm happy to field questions from you guys. We can pause there for just a moment or two. send it. Send it my way. I've been fielding a lot of questions about that over on the other stream. It's not separating further from the channel because, again, we're diverting how and where we put out content, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's get into some of the topics I wanted to talk about tonight. Woot woot, made it on time. What's up, Eli? It's good to see you. Russia's invasion of you spelled Ukraine wrong? That's weird. Interesting. Let's get into the topics that I have for tonight. I got a couple things I wanted to point out to you guys. We've got arms packages going places you probably didn't expect them to go. But first, I want to kind of talk a little bit about something that I have a lot of experience in, which is cybersecurity. The United States released their revised national cybersecurity strategy very recently. And it's something that I think everybody should really start to pay a little bit more attention to. So I'm a CISSP, Certified Information Systems Security Professional, and also a certified ethical hacker. I've spent the majority of my adult career in the cybersecurity realm. One of the things that the new national cybersecurity strategy is going to be attempting to fix is the disparity in baseline requirements for your tools, for your configuration of your networks. I can tell you through personal experience that moving from the DHS umbrella to the DoD umbrella to the intelligence community umbrella, the standards are disparate. You have different baselines of tools, different requirements. Taking that a step further, when you start to get into critical infrastructure, things like hydroelectric plants have different requirements than the FBI, right? These would all theoretically be laid out underneath of federal agencies. So theoretically, you would imagine that there should be some level of a baseline standard across all of them. There's not. That's what this is hoping to fix. Now, that's a double-edged sword for me. One of the things that I while I was still doing cybersecurity, that I talked about a lot, whether I was delivering a presentation to my company or working with one of our customers, was the challenge of red tape. One of the things that makes Russia, so good at, in my day we called it cyber espionage, is essentially the lack of red tape. What red tape requires is, in order to make the smallest change to a firewall, to deploy the newest emerging bleeding edge technology, is a series of signatures that approve the implementation. You have things like technical insertion boards that have to go through 9,000 different checks on just a piece of technology that could essentially be what combats the next 0 day to come out. For those that aren't familiar with a 0 day, it's essentially an exploitable flaw in a piece of software, firmware, that doesn't yet have protections against it. So on the one hand, establishing some level of a baseline across all of these organizations is absolutely necessary. But in my mind, it's an additional layer of red tape that's going to slow us down even further. And I'm not the only one that's concerned about that. One of the other people that's concerned about that recently, one of the top executives in the Pentagon cybersecurity just last year, the year before, left because essentially he relayed that we are just too far behind, China specifically. And again, the deference from an operational perspective of China down to the very lowest levels of the PLA, in contrast to the way that we conduct operations both defensively and offensively, is stark. A lot of decision-making deferred all the way down to the lower levels. The same applies with Russia. Russia typically is quite a bit more covert, in my experience, with a lot of their cyber activity. I spent less time, in a defensive space, understanding Russia's activity than I was focused on China and North Korea, just to help you understand where my time and energy was spent. But I can tell you that China was very overt in targeting not just the federal government, but defense contractors from around the world, whether it be in Britain, the United States. Federal contractors, defense contractors, are one of the easiest ways to conduct cyber espionage because those organizations are less bound by government restriction and requirements, that baseline that I talked about. That's essentially your foothold, if you will. And China was very overt about doing it because they knew that ultimately, were we to hold them accountable to that, we would essentially burn the way that we found them. Sources and methods. Sources and methods are ultimately how things are classified. At one point during my time, working some of those problem sets, we did try to hold China accountable to some of this. And it did go well. It didn't amount to anything. A couple news stories, and that was it. I want to say that would have been circa 2013-ish, maybe. That was Hillary was Secretary of State at the time. Anyway, I've provided a link to you guys to the National Cybersecurity Strategy. It's something that everybody should pay attention to. That's a domain that transcends everything that we do. Everything is interconnected. So understanding how our government essentially attempts to protect our critical infrastructure is absolutely necessary. I was able to get through the majority of it. It's a little bit dry, but I still think it's something very valuable to understand and keep an eye on. The next thing I wanted to talk about was actually arms packages. It's good to see you guys. Won't let me skip past this. Rooster, that's because we're live, boss. Yeah. Anyway, arms packages. $619 billion to Taiwan. Now, that's $619 billion sale of various F-16 armaments. That includes 100 AGM-88 HARMs. You guys should be familiar with the HARMs, anti-radiation missile. Essentially, anything that's emitting some type of radiation, it can target. We provided those to Ukraine quite a few times. They've retrofitted their MiGs to use them as well. But Taiwan purchased over 100 of those, and another was 200 AIM-120 AMRAAMs. An AMRAAM is an advanced medium-range air-to-air missile. I provided you guys both a PDF version of the release to that and just a general link for you to go and check that out. Again, these are topics that I think you guys should know about. You should know that these things are happening. I'm not giving you a rhyme or reason why we're covering them. I'm not giving you my opinion on any of this stuff. Just providing you with the information. The last one before we get to some more combat specific stuff I wanted to talk about is the State Department provision of 61 tons of arms and armor to Somalia. 61 tons. That seems like a lot, but I'm willing to bet that doesn't end up being all that much. Now, AFRICOM's commander, General Michael Langley, I want to say his name is Michael Langley, is who essentially shared this with reporters. AFRICOM being United States Africa Command. I was actually with Africa Command for about 2 years of my career. I was working mostly a project surrounding the Niger River Basin at the time. But this is going to include AKs, other small arms, things along those lines. Somalia's president, what was his name? Oh, Hassan Sheikh Mohammed essentially declared a total war against al-Shabaab just last year. Now, that includes support from about 450 U.S. troops that are stationed in Somalia at the moment, providing everything from drone strikes to intelligence to training. Not necessarily conducting any actions, but there of course you could essentially align that under the training umbrella. It's happened before. But for those that don't recall, just last year, maybe the year, 2018, we actually re-enabled our diplomatic mission in Mogadishu. So that's another area that we essentially have forward troops deployed. There's a link as well for that. Now let's get into some of the footage. You guys want to talk about Bryansk? Or do you want to talk about Johnny Jihad and his just absolutely wild story, man? They're going to make a move. They've got to make a movie out of that dude. Total War Somalia 2024, next game upcoming. Which country was giving the arms? What do you mean? I don't understand the question. Bakhmut. Yeah, we can talk a little bit about Bakhmut. Bakhmut is enveloped. Actually, I put out an Instagram post for the Funker530 page just yesterday. that kind of provided a small update on Bakhmut. Wagner has continued to envelop it, but the key note is, coming from Ukrainian sources, is that Ukraine maintains the capability to withdraw at any time. I still think that there's kind of a disparate or contested understanding of the strategic importance of Bakhmut. In my mind, essentially, Russia wants to take it because it's something. It could very well be that they see it as a key logistics hub in the east. Ukraine, in my mind, is just defending it, to defend ground. But I can say, just as Prigozhin has admitted, it has taken a lot of time and a lot of Wagner troops to take Bakhmut. A guy that tanked the 30 millimeters just to Tarkov chat. Oh, we're going to be watching him tonight. One of the top stories coming out of Ukraine that I wanted to get into is essentially one of those controversial things that some people say is a Russian false flag. Some say is Ukraine getting more and more brazen. Russia accused Ukraine of conducting operations in Bryansk. More specifically, the Russian Volunteer Battalion supposedly, released a couple of videos showing them not necessarily conducting any actions, but standing in front of easily geolocatable buildings inside of Russia. There's been a ton of Twitter OSINT channels that have dove into this with all of the ferocity that they do. And we're not going to dive that far. What I'm going to share with you here is a series of videos. What's going on with the camera? What was that? I'm going to share with you a series of videos. First, a couple of those videos that shows these, again, supposed Russian Volunteer Battalion. And for those that aren't familiar, these are native Russians that are essentially fighting on behalf of Ukraine. Once I get the appropriate part of this copied and pasted. Here's the first of those videos that was released. I did find a translated version of it for you. Coming up for you now. What the shit? Stand by. We're going to have to fix this live. You ready for it? Here we go. Nailed it.
Доказательства прямо за моей спиной. Мы не воюем с гражданскими, не убиваем безоружных. Имейте это в виду. Теперь пришло время обычным гражданам России понять, что они не рабы. Поднимайте бунт, сражайтесь. Ну что ж, друзья, вот и свершилось. Русский добровольческий корпус перешел государственную границу.
Now again, there are quite a few folks that are that have a better understanding of fighters down at the individual level that I just don't have. Regardless, what's most interesting is going to be coming up here in just a second.
Не воюем с мирными гражданами. Мы пришли сюда, чтобы вас освобождать. Призываем вас, возьмите оружие и боритесь с путинским, кремлевским, кровавым режимом. Слава РДК, смерть кремлевскому тирану. Мы, бойцы русского добровольческого корпуса, записываем это.
Let's bring it back up. Now, there are a lot of folks that are wondering whether or not this is some form of a false flag of Russia. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. But what I will say is it was very interesting that Putin came out very quickly with a statement. Let's take a watch of Putin's statement here.
Сегодня совершили очередной террористический акт, очередное преступление. Проникли на приграничную территорию и открыли огонь по гражданским лицам. Видели, что это гражданская машина. Видели, что там сидят гражданские лица и дети. Нива обыкновенные. Открыли огонь по ним. Вот именно такие люди и ставили перед собой задачу лишить нас исторической памяти, лишить нас своей истории, лишить нас своих традиций, языка. Я хочу сейчас процитировать нашего выдающегося педагога Константина Дмитриевича Ушинского, 200 лет до дня рождения которого отмечаем в этом году. Он называл невыносимым насилием попытки отнять у народа его язык, оборвать ту самую прочную связь, соединяющую поколения в одно великое историческое живое целое. Это насилие, настоящее преступление совершают как раз неонацисты, о которых я сейчас сказал, и их хозяева. Уверен, что и о сегодняшнем преступлении эти самые хозяева не вспомнят. Никто даже не обратит на это внимание. Но вновь повторю, ничего у них не получится. Мы их дожмем.
All right, let's bring it back up here and let's chat about that for just a second. There have been actual incursions into Russia that Putin never spoke of once. Now, this was released through official Russian channels. This is not just, you know, a video picked up on the side somewhere. What's interesting is how fast he came out and talked about it. And what's even more interesting is this next video. This next video I'd consider a little bit not safe for work. One of the things that you saw Putin mention here was the targeting of civilians. You actually saw that specific narrative mentioned in all of those videos that we've watched so far. Putin and in the supposed Russian volunteer battalion. Putin himself mentioned a car. Well, the FSB published this video, which reportedly shows that car that was targeted by the supposed Ukrainians inside of Russia. Now, from my perspective, right, we just try to show you the footage, one top to bottom, just try to show you the footage. But what I always try to ask myself personally is what would be the value of this type of misinformation were it to be. You take from it what you will. This, you know, just showing you the footage, providing you the timeline of what took place. Well, effectively, this would be an arrow in the quiver for an eventual full mobilization, for an example, or an additional escalation of some kind. Russia has drawn the line in the sand a few times that if you attack, you know, us on Russian soil, then, you know, that's cause for us to take things a little bit further. I don't truly understand fully what taking things further would look like, you know, outside of some kind of a decision, some decision that would be decisive in nature. And when I mean decisive. But ultimately, our function and focus is to show you the footage, help you understand the context as we found it, around it, and, you know, allow you to essentially come to your own conclusions on that. How we doing? Let's turn some music on. I got to check in on this support. Good to see you guys. Welcome back. We're going to be jumping into the top 10 videos on Funker530 over the last week. And if I do have an additional section at the bottom for us to go through tonight as well. 2 Empaths on a Journey. Welcome on the Beast membership. Appreciate that. Gunslinger, thanks for the 762. Knight's Dagger, thank you very much for the $2. Happy birthday, you filthy animal. Stop it. It's not my birthday. And thank you very much for the $2. A bunch of renewals and new members. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Funkers. Calhoun, thank you very much for the becoming a member, excuse me. Mike, thank you for the 2 months. Jim for 13 months. Toby for 43 months. For those of you that might be new to the channel, new to the Funker530 team, I think, you know, this all started with Ukraine. We've been around since 2007. So all we cover is combat footage. Fundamentally, all we do. 43 months is a long time. Badabar1, thank you very much for 13 months, and Blotsky for 13 months as well. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. It's not my birthday at all. What do you guys say? You want to start diving into some footage from the last week? We've got some pretty wild ones to go through here. We're going to be starting with the top 10, and then I've got an honorable mention section that didn't make it into the top 10 that I thought were pertinent, necessary for us to review. The very first that we're going to see here was actually one that I blogged for us, one that I put up, and it's got a lot to do with Bakhmut. Well, the video you're going to watch here is a Wagner soldier showing off various small arms that were reportedly captured just to the north of Bakhmut. I don't know how to pronounce the small town that it was captured in, but again, check the stream description, click the link, go over there, read the analysis. I wrote this one. I think it's pretty good. Here's that video coming up for you guys right now. I'll go through each of these for you as he pulls them up. Very first is a Milkor MGL. It's a 40 millimeter.
Это иностранная, естественно, система. Меняется угол при натовских армиях, собственно говоря, и в американской в том числе. Используется, естественно, как отдельное оружие. Это не подствольная система. Также продолжаем. Из интересного.
Now this one is, you know, a U.S. government marked M4 with a Trigicon ACOG on the top. One of the things he's going to point out here in just a second is the QR code. Now the Army uses the QR codes from an inventory management perspective. So essentially he's positing that this did come from U.S. government stock. Looks a lot like the one that I have currently issued to me. Now this one was actually really interesting. This is a Daniel Defense MK18. What's most interesting about this to me is the forbidden third pin. That looks like it's been cheeky-breeky installed rather than a regular, you know, factory installed. You can just see smudging just around the outside. We are looking at a relatively low-quality version of the video. I could turn it up just a little bit. But you see that smudging around the outside there? That pin is what indicates that this is a full-auto firearm. It's the third pin. Now, what's also interesting about this, so these were supposed Ukrainian arms, is, you know, the height of this optic. You know, that cheek stock weld's going to be sideways head. So you got a CZ Bren here. Really, the only notable piece that he's describing these to somebody that, you know, might not have a great familiarity with firearms. He essentially says that it's NATO compatible, and he's talking about the magazines. A lot of people mistake the Bren for a Scar. Now this is going to be a 240 Lima. You can see the damage to the feed tray cover there. Heat shield's been removed, and the stock is what gives it away as a Lima, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's bring it up. Mags they have no ammo for. Not a Scar. No, it is not a Scar. Yeah, the Bren is often confused with a Scar because of the UGG boot type of stock that it has on it. Hope they registered that SBR. if they put a pistol brace on it, they'll have what's left, like 90 days on the amnesty period for it, and they won't have to register it till the end of that. All right, let's jump into our next one. That was the number 10 most watched video on the Funker530 app and website over the last 7 days. The next one is going to be both context and just an overall interesting video to watch. This is going to be coming out of Marinka, and it's going to show a lone Russian tank really just, presumably firing at Ukrainian positions, but from a bird's eye perspective, looks like he's turning the liberated town of Marinka into more liberated. And I use the term liberated loosely. This is a Russian tank making rubble into more rubble. On this, so we don't get slapped with a copyright problem. Man, look at that place. Yeah, we've posted a couple videos on the website lately that show, really good contextual view from a bird's eye perspective of Bakhmut. Marinka is what we're looking at here. And these cities are just absolutely destroyed. Let's come back up. That was the number 9 most watched video on the app and website. Looks like rebuild in time. Looks like Syria. It does. Yeah. Just checking in on the chat here. Flattened already. It is. All right. Let's jump into number 8. So we haven't actually seen a whole lot of footage from or of the RGW-90 Matador. But the number 8 most watched video on the app and website was Russian BMP-2. Just getting smacked with a Matador. You'll see what a Matador is here in just a second.
Гандоны нахуй! Туда, куда надо! Бля, немцы, сука, по ноге попали. Пидорасы. Гандоны нахуй! Туда, куда надо!
All right, let's come back up. Nanuki, thank you very much for the 2, and for the 2 after that. Appreciate that. Ray, thank you for the 25.55. Thank you, Ronnie. Cheers from Germany. Cheers to you, boss. Thank you. That's a lot of dollars. And thank you for it. Holy wow, man. Let's jump into number 7 here. So we've got some Russian perspective footage coming up for you. This is going to be from Vuhledar. And our best guess is that this took place, a few weeks ago. Because the information to come out of Vuhledar was very indicative of an unsuccessful assault. Let's just put it that way. It brought back memories of the crossing of the Seversky Donets. But the footage that we're going to watch shows Russian. We've got actually 2 coming out of Vuhledar on the top 10 list. The first is going to be Russian Marines reportedly conducting ground operations inside of Vuhledar. This is our number 7 most watched video on Funker530.
Ищем вход! Ищем вход! Граната пошла! Кидай гранату! Я вижу! Я здесь, держу!
Well, Wesley, thanks for being here, man. Let's bring it back up. That was number 7, like I mentioned. Don't worry, we've got quite a bit of footage to still get through tonight. The shows will likely be a little bit shorter than they were. One of the things that we were doing is essentially going through every video that we had posted in the last like 48 hours or so, which entirely defeats you know the purpose of having the raw video for you elsewhere. So by doing a top 10, that essentially allows me to show you the things that were watched most, and under normal circumstances that would really be indicative of these are the things that most people are interested in that are posted on the app and website. But I also have a bit of a follow-up section, that what I call our honorable mention section. These are whether funny or interesting videos that were released this week that didn't necessarily make the top 10, but very well could. Something that you guys might see in next week's show is video that we cover in the honorable mention section that makes it into next week's top 10. But I've found more often than not that there are folks that tune in to here that might not be as active on Twitter or Telegram, and aren't seeing these things as often as some are. So that's why we are kind of shifting that way. We're going to move with our number 6 video. We're going to actually shift focus here a little bit. We're going to see something pretty not safe for work here. What you're going to see is footage coming out of Brazil. Now, what you're going to I don't want to dive too far down and get into it, anything other than this is a Brazilian police officer that engages 2 would-be muggers, and he wins. Discretion's advised here. This is pretty not safe for work. Here you go. Sounds like you guys are out of footage. You haven't been on the app and website. Every day we post somewhere between 10 and 15 videos. All right. Let's bring that back up. That was number 6 for us. Watching this at work? Yeah, do your thing, man. Trigicon better than EOTech? Disagree. I think I've never been a huge fan of the ACOG, personally. If you're speaking specifically to the ACOG. App has a lot of videos. Yeah, there's a lot of footage. A lot of footage. And our function and focus isn't to show you everything that we have in the app up here, because we would be here for 5, 6, 7 hours. We do, like I said, 10 to 15 videos every 24 hours. We have minimums that we hit. I include myself in that. So there's plenty of footage. Guess you should go check it out. EOTech superior. I agree. The next one, we're going to shift back for our number 5 most watched video to Ukraine. Once again, going to be a little bit not safe for work. Discretion's advised here. What you're going to see is a squad-sized element of Russians on patrol that are tracked and then engaged by a drone. This was, like I mentioned, number 5 on the app and website. Iron sights will be fine. The old fuddy iron sight argument makes me laugh. It kind of reminds me of maybe somebody saying, "I need to go to the store. Better grab my horse and buggy." It'll work. There are better options. What if your car battery dies? I guess you always do have the horse and buggy if you need to go back to it. If you take care of your optics, you keep your batteries fresh in there. There's, especially if you're running something that can withstand a lot of banging around. The EOTech, the ACOG, these are combat proven optics. They've been around for a long time. Very reliable, and especially when you have a prism optic of some kind that can continue to rock whether or not you've got batteries or not. Absolutely no reason not to run one. It will make you better. You still got to do your part, though. That was number 5 on the app and website. Checking in on the chat here for a little bit. Did Ukraine ever get those Abrams tanks and Bradley IFVs? Not the Abrams aren't going to arrive for quite some time. The Leopards, if I understand, are starting to trickle in. Bradleys will arrive much sooner than the Abrams will. I want to say the Department of Defense projected the Abrams out into like 2024 or something like that. But Leopards, Bradleys, those are all slowly making their way. The benefits of red dot sight far outweigh the risks related to reliability. Yes, I would agree with that. Bradley tanks, correct. The Bradley is a tank. It's not a main battle tank, but it does meet the Oxford and many other definitions of a tank, which under most circumstances necessitate 3 things: armor, turret, and continuous tracks. So, it's a tank. Meets the definition of it. It's not a main battle tank, though. I'm gonna die on this hill. I told you, I will die on this hilltop. I'm gonna stand here and hold your ground. Bring Ace 308. I saw that the first time you commented. I'd love to have him on. Where's he at? Swing through. Bradley ain't no tank, yo. I disagree, but that's cool. Challenger 2 is better than Abrams. When you start to talk about the Challenger versus the Leopard versus the Abrams, there are a series of one does this better than the other. And in my opinion, between those 3, it comes down to the crew, ultimately. Because they each have their own individual benefits, right? Some are faster than others. Some have better sighting or technology in them. Some have better armor. All depends. And I think it comes down to the crew. Ray, thanks for hitting the member button. Appreciate that very much. What's your favorite flavor of Pop-Tart? The cinnamon one, probably. That's the one we always had. So I haven't had a Pop-Tart in a long time, which now makes me want to have a Pop-Tart. All right, let's jump into our number 4. Rip Dango, thanks very much for the $5. Take the shield off an EOTech and it dies just like all else. Why would I take the shield off of it? If you take the iron sights off of your rifle and use them. Thanks very much for the 5, Rip. Appreciate it. Number 4. So this is one of the ones that we had in the title tonight. We're going to watch probably the luckiest Ukrainian soldier, I don't know, ever. His plate stopped a 30 millimeter round. Now, 30 millimeter, pretty common caliber, BTR, BMP, but it's big. It's a big boy. It's a big one. Big old fat one.
Прямо в бронік така хуйня ще прилітає, блядь. Дивись.
Вот так он, блядь, раскурочила пацана, ебать. Он в натуре, на самом деле, внутри киборг, блядь. Вот тут же роботы, блядь.
Now, something that's notable here is the angle of entry, very sideways, using up more of that plate to help slow it down. And what's more than likely is this is a deflection of, that 30 millimeter. So many internet experts sit there and overanalyze the individual capabilities of every NIJ level and say, well, technically that shouldn't have happened. What you're looking at is, and Will talks about this in his analysis, is something whose energy, or is around in which the energy was probably already decreased. Then you add the additional angle of the round as it came in, and it's feasible to believe that he just got extremely lucky there. Now, had it hit him full velocity with all of its energy still at a more direct angle, he would have been toast. Just put it that way.
Наркоте, блядь. Вот такие, блядь, пацаны.
All right, let's come back up. Just had a better gaming chair. Really nice gaming chair. I got to get me one of those. Hit a tree first? Probably. Maybe. Yeah. Absolutely. An anomaly? Yeah. It is anomalous. Rip Dango, thank you for the $5. I'm not sure I fully understand that one. You take the shield to prove. All the others need just that. Yeah, I don't think I understand. They laugh as the artillery is coming in. Crazy. A little wild. I have a PhD in everything, and I don't appreciate Ronnie downplaying my expertise. A lot of experts. You know, during my conversation with Yuri yesterday, it was funny. What was it? 2020, we had, immunologist experts all over the internet. Fast forward to now, we have, war experts everywhere. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. Anything at all. What's your favorite flavor of edible underwear? Any fruity gummy flavor. I'm way into it. The problem with gummy edible underwear, not that I'm speaking from personal experience, is they're essentially too stretchy. So what ends up happening is it just gets long and stringy and it's difficult to eat it off. So the Sweet Tarts ones are typically the best to go for on edible underwear. Thanks for the 20. Appreciate it. Thanks for the 2 Munch demos. Appreciate that. Mike, thank you for the $2. No need to explain tank every episode, bro. I'm still going to do it. Still going to do it. Appreciate the $2, man. All right, let's move into number 3. All right, this is, I get, by technicality here, this is not safe for work. What you're going to see, discretion advised, is a Russian team trying to cross a danger area, an open area. And in the process of doing that, they get hit by small arms. Video's coming up for you guys now. This is our number 3 most watched video on the app and website. Kitty. You guys want to see the cat? Hello, kitty. What? He's crying at me right now. It's the big fluffy one. Cybersecurity declassified. Thank you for the $5. Marcellus, thank you for the $1. Nitwit, thanks for hitting the member button. Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with us a little bit. What's the likelihood of a nuclear war? I think there are a lot of people trying to ask that question right now that have that question. That is the $1 million question. I don't think anybody's going to have a great answer for you. Show the cat. He just left. I'll see if I can grab him on the next go around. David, thanks for hitting the member button. Show the cat for super chat. He left. That's bribery, is what that is. Did a bullet push him down? I guess technically, yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move to number 2 here. This is the number 2 most watched video over the last week. And then we'll be moving into what I call, again, our honorable mention. Just some critical videos that I think everybody should see. That might not have, been the most popular videos on the site. What you're going to see here is a team of Ukrainians fragging Russians that are down in a basement. When I say fragging, using a frag.
Кто пидор, сука? Вот. Пидор, сука. Лежит нахуй. Да выебывался, сука, да? Гандон ебучий, блядь. Нехуй, сука, выебываться. Петухи, ебать, ебучие. Вот еще один. Кто там в подвале, пацаны? В подвале, пацаны! Пидоры в подвале! В подвале пидоры! В подвале! Приняли бой с пидорами. В подвале несколько села. Ну, мы подвал разъебашили. В принципе. Давай, граната, блядь!
Пошли, пошли. Давай еще одна, не можно. Возьми.
Ложись, сука! Вот пидор. На.
All right, let's come back up. Holy wow, Mosen. Thank you for the 5 gifted, dude. Appreciate that. David, thanks for becoming a member. TJ, welcome. Johnny, Chris, Doc, and St. Javelin. Thanks for becoming members, guys. Welcome. That's awesome. Appreciate you guys very much. Mosen, thanks again for that 5 gifted. Rip Dango, thanks for the $10. EOTech, it's protected by an out extra layer of shielding. Not sure what I'm talking about. Any red dot that hits 0 can also be armored. Bend some metal sometime. Okay. Yeah, dope, man. I appreciate the $10, dude. Joe Little, thank you for the $5 for kitty treats. I got 3 cats, 2 dogs, and then 2 animals that are also known as children. So thank you very much for that. All right, let's check out our #1 most watched video on the app and website. And it's not what you think. Because there are a lot of challenges and problems, and I'm speaking from, the perspective of an American citizen at the moment. There are a lot of challenges and problems that America is dealing with internally as well. One of those challenges and problems that I've talked about being an absolute necessity for us to figure out is our border. What you're going to watch is found footage. I wouldn't necessarily say discretion is advised. Maybe the context surrounding the footage is a little bit dark. But this found footage was from dead Sicarios that were in Nuevo Laredo. Nuevo Laredo is just across the Rio Grande from Laredo, Texas. That is, you could throw a rock and hit Nuevo Laredo. It's some pretty interesting footage to watch. But this is our #1 most watched video on the app and website over the last 7 days.
¡Tírales, Kevin! ¡Ojalá y no le tires! ¡Puta madre! ¡Ojalá no le tires, fuera! ¡Tírale a la verga! ¡Dale una vuelta! ¡Tírale a la verga! ¡Tírale! ¡Ahí, tírale! Verga, ponte verga, métete. Verga, al chile, pa, ¿quién era esa troca, güey? ¿Quién era la troca? Ahí, mira.
A lot of questions about who that is. Those were Sicarios. That would be cartel. Those are cartels in Nuevo Laredo. And the hint is in the name. If you're familiar with Laredo, Texas, Nuevo Laredo is literally across the river from Laredo, Texas. We've shown you guys some footage of Nuevo Laredo and some of the cartel activity that's happening there, and it's extremely close to the American border. Extremely close. But that's our #1 most watched video over the last 7 days. Do you have an OnlyFans? You know, I did actually have an OnlyFans. Let me describe. My OnlyFans consisted entirely of various pictures of me with oscillating fans, ceiling fans, a microwave fan, and I didn't make any money from it. I actually took all of those photos and put them on my Instagram afterwards. The cat's back. I'm going to go grab the cat. Speaking of OnlyFans, you're going to love this. I promise. We'll be right back. I got a kitty cat. All right, let's move into what I called our honorable mention videos. I want to watch a couple. I want to watch a couple that I actually don't even have on my list here, because there was a hot thread just last week. Actually, I mean, it's within the last 72 hours ago, of a potential attack on an A-50 airframe in Belarus. Now, there's been some footage that was released that essentially didn't show much. We're going to watch 2 videos coming up here in just a second. And I'm going to give you a potential reason why it didn't work at first. But then the second video seems to imply that an attack did take place. I'm not sure. There's been a lot of satellite imagery that's being reviewed on Twitter, etc. We're just going to watch the footage. I would also say that the employment of video game tactics by a drone on an aircraft is something I can't not unsee. Or I can't unsee. Words are tough. All right, so let's see another video, and a lot of people have only seen one of the two of these. You know, there were a lot of comments. Maybe it planted C4 and flew away. Well, then what would the purpose be to this next video, which shows the same aircraft in a different flight path? Here you are. What's also notable here is the proximity of flight, of how far it is away from the plane. I'm going to turn this down so I don't have to hear that noise. Big Ronnie, who's that? Do you think the end game would be Putin with his itchy trigger finger on the nuclear button, World War III ending up as an end game? Possibly. Flex on him. You know, that's such $1 million question. You know, there are supposedly many different red lines, some of which the United States, the West, has already crossed with really no change. It's such a difficult question to answer. Any answer you get from just about anybody is going to be some form of a dart to a dartboard. Please do tap on the like button for the stream. Appreciate that. Now, one of the theories that's been posited a few times to me, you know, I've been tagged in stuff that's talking about it, is the potential that this drone has some form of a pressure activation on the bottom of it to where, with enough force generated to the bottom, it triggers an explosion of some kind. Now, some of the satellite imagery that has come out does show black marks on, you know, a portion of the disc at the top of the A50. But also on the wings. Now, this video appears to show a second attempt of some kind. Same aircraft. And when I say a trigger, what I effectively mean is it falling down to initiate an explosion of some kind. Okay. I don't know. Again, our focus is not to sit here and overanalyze every pixel. It's to show you the footage. That's all we're here to do. But there are folks that are saying it falling down is some kind of an initiation for whatever explosive that it had, if any, attached to it. This next one that I have here, we're in our kind of honorable mention section of key and important, maybe some, you know, just amazing to watch videos. You're going to watch a gentleman by the name of Chad, I would assume, picking a fight with not just a BTR 82, but also a Russian on the top of it with an RPG by himself.
РИА Новости показывает уникальные кадры штурма украинской позиции южнее Марьинки. В ходе штурма бойцы подразделения разведки Вооруженных сил Российской Федерации столкнулись с сопротивлением. Правда, из 4 защитников опорного пункта пытался отбиваться лишь один, оказавшийся в итоге наемником из Грузии. Как только он получил смертельное ранение, 3 бойцов ВСУ сразу же сдались в плен, даже не пытаясь оказать ему помощь.
Now, what's really interesting about this video that I wanted to point out is this. So this is like a Russian released version of it. Is they show a fighting position with supposedly a dead Ukrainian in it, but it's an entirely different fighting position. It is not what we're seeing here. Back to the video.
РИА Новости показывает уникальные кадры штурма украинской позиции южнее Марьинки. В ходе штурма бойцы подразделения разведки Вооруженных сил Российской Федерации столкнулись с сопротивлением. Правда, из 4 защитников опорного пункта пытался отбиваться лишь один, оказавшийся в итоге наемником из Грузии. Как только он получил смертельное ранение, 3 бойцов...
That's the fighting position that I'm speaking about specifically. It's an entirely different fighting position.
ВСУ сразу же сдались в плен, даже не пытаясь оказать ему помощь.
Hemu, I see your comment there about the videos and the way that here we'll actually work through it here. Let me help you understand. That's not a limitation of us. That is a limitation of our player. So, Hemu, what you're talking about is clicking on one of these and how the text doesn't change. Our video player partner is Rumble. It's the only part of our website that's third party. We just being transparent with you, top to bottom, everything from the comment section to the design of the website is all built by us. The one thing that's extremely difficult, time-consuming to do is build your own video player. Now, because we use Rumble's player, and we use Rumble for a lot of good reasons, there's really no way for us to have it redirect you to another page when you click on one of those videos. So it's a limitation of being reliant on a third-party player rather than something we just haven't implemented. Because we've thought about different ways to try to do that, and there just really isn't any way for us to do that. All right. This next one's actually just a really interesting video that's going to show you the preparation and use of drone-dropped munitions. Now, I would consider this to be a discretion advised video. War happens in this because it also shows them being employed against Russian soldiers.
Саме найкраща робота в світі. Бо вона очищає нашу землю від нечисті. Так. Саме головне, під час того, як ріжеш, не вдарити по бойку, тому що він зразу зірветься.
All right, let's come back up. Nice montage. Yeah, I just thought that one was interesting. Just from a production perspective on those drone drop munitions. Drone use, and I've talked about this before, the real true novelty of that is how it's being used as a forward observer. The dropping munitions from it outside of the crafting of them, maybe, because a lot of those TTPs are still being developed actively. Ukraine is developing those right now as we speak, kind of setting precedent for it. So outside of the development of munition types to be dropped from drones, the true novelty of it is it being used for real forward observation. The skills that would normally come with maybe a 13 Fox forward observer or something. You just fly a drone, get extremely accurate coordinates, get a bird's eye view of BDA. From a capability perspective, that's huge. Huge. The next one that I've got here is kind of a, I'd just say, pretty neat video. But it does confirm that Ukraine is employing robot soldiers. Our biggest fears.
Цивільному житті лікар-травматолог. На війні командир медичної частини та частного екіпажу стоїть. Цивільному житті лікар-травматолог. На війні командир медичної частини та частного екіпажу стоїть.
Yeah, Bayraktar is copywritten. I can't play that one anymore. Got a funny one for you coming out of Belarus. Belarus, if not for nothing, they're good for a few laughs. They're doing some more choreography for you here. The Belarusian dance team. It's really good stuff. Oh, they're doing jump rope. All right, this is the second time I've seen the Batman thing. Somebody help me understand the Batman thing. This is the second time I've seen one of these dance team videos with the Batman logo. And I don't understand the significance of that. Like, is this some kind of like Belarusian joke? I don't know. Oh, they're going to light it on fire. I haven't Hold on, I haven't yet watched this far. I only watched the rolling around part, so we're seeing this together for the first time. So my daughter's a cheerleader. So she started cheerleading this year, and she's a flyer. I think I'm going to use this as, pretty exemplary of a great pyramid. for her to use. There they go. Terrifying. All right, let's bring it back up. Someone put yakety sax over. Mike MC, thanks for the $2. Are they wearing hockey pants? I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, we're moving on. Tank, thanks very much for the 602. Putin could nuke Ukraine. NATO is under no obligation to respond. In kind, they would. Putin then denies Ukraine and its resources to the West. No, if that's not how that goes in my mind. Dart to dartboard again. I'm not an expert. We just focus on footage here. There are very few things that I claim any level of expertise in. One is cybersecurity. Another is information operations or information warfare. And the last is being comfortable in an appropriate length pair of shorts. So when it comes to, geopolitics, strategy at that kind of level, response, I don't claim to be. I will say that based on my ignorant understanding of how we would respond, or lack of understanding of how we would respond, Putin would not get away with using a nuclear weapon of any kind. I believe that firmly. Totally needs Benny Hill music 100%. Combat tripod. That was the Chinese Olympic gymnastics team. I got one more for you that shows the, general effectiveness of 3D printed firearms. This is going to come out of Myanmar. Now, this footage out of Myanmar shows 3D printed weapons being used by, I guess the best way to describe them are the rebels that are fighting back against the junta that took power in Myanmar in 2021.
Gosh.
It's a bat covering a globe as a symbol of the GRU Spetsnaz, elite units of Russia's largest military intelligence agency. Andrew, thanks very much for the 5 and for the explanation there. Appreciate that. YouTube Batman hockey pants. You're welcome. Thanks, Mike. Maybe we'll do that on the other stream, which is coming up right after this. What is this song? I don't know. It was dope, though. So we were riding in the car last night. Anecdote time. We were riding in the car last night. Yesterday was my wife's birthday. Yes, it was yesterday. All the days kind of are turning into Groundhog Day. But my wife likes to do this thing where she gives everybody the phone to play their favorite song, right? Or a song that they want to listen to. I think I put something like, had the phone made its way to me, I'd probably put like Tyler Childers or something on. I don't know. I don't know what I would have picked. My oldest, I have 2 girls. She puts on Meghan Trainor. I don't remember what the song was. By the time my youngest got the phone, I had completely checked out. Just, I'm scrolling on my phone or something, listening to somebody scream at me through the radio. Well, suddenly, I hear Rammstein come on. My youngest chose to put Rammstein on, and she's an 8-year-old, girl into like cheerleading, and I don't even know how she knows Rammstein, but then proceeds to sing every word to Sona. And I was like, I've never been more proud in my life. Amazing. Happy birthday, Ronnie's wife. Thanks very much for that, guys. Yeah, she turned 30. Most of you guys should know her. In fact, she'll be joining us over on the other stream a little bit late tonight. She's with the oldest at the at soccer practice, so she'll be joining the stream late tonight while we try to raise money over on the other side for veteran charity. You're welcome to swing by and ask about what we're doing over there for that. We'd love to have you. But that's going to be it for our show here tonight. Andy, thanks again for the $5. Not an expert, but gave pretty good expert advice on edible underwear. Well, you know, I didn't want to flex too much, but it's definitely not personal experience. Andrew, thanks again for the 5. I'm out of here. Be good this weekend. We'll see you guys next week. I've got a couple non-live videos that should go live throughout the week next week. Hope you enjoy those. Please do watch them. Tap on the like button over there. Drop a comment. Let us know. And if you want to stick around, the stream is going to automatically redirect you over to where we're going to have some beer. I'm going to drink some bourbon. Thank a couple folks for sending me some pretty cool stuff. And have a good time. All right? We'll see you there and stay informed.